And that thing is with time, later and earlier times. If you were going to make a little pattern out of time problems, here is what it would look like. If you're looking for the difference between times, it looks like this. You take the later term, the later time, subtract the earlier time, and you get their difference in time. And time can be kind of tricky. Again, we talked about it because of noon and having double numbers or whatever here. So here's an example. How many years from, how long from 1492, which was when what happened? Columbus sailed the ocean blue, to 1620, which is, I don't know, maybe that's when Amerigo Vespucci, I don't know. If you're trying to find the difference in those times, remember how to set it up. You want the later time. Which one of these two times is the later? 1620. And you want to subtract the earlier time, which is the 1492. And you'll end up with 128 years of difference. You guys know this song? It's a good one. Now a harder one still, how about this one? This is where they get really hard. Actually, this is pretty close to R. Our school day goes from, let's do what the book says, 8:10 a.m. Right, we started at 10. To 3:15 p.m. How long is our school day? This can be tricky, but if you think of the little pattern, it's the later time minus the earlier time equals the difference. Which of those two times is the later time in the day? Is 8:10 the later one or 3:15?
3:15.
Okay, so that has to go on top.
But
I know. Well, I hear you squawking there, sir. The earlier time is
8:10.
8:10. Now we are in some sort of a dilemma because now we're trying to subtract a big number, what looks like a bigger number, from a smaller number. I will entertain any suggestions from the 5th grade crew. How am I going to do that problem? Hard?
You go to the negatives.
No, we can't go because time can never really be negative.
How if you go to the negatives and do 3 minus 8,
Do you think that'll work? Are you sure of it? So tell me what your answer is when you do the negatives.
505.
You're saying 505. Let's look at it and let's see what happens here. Here's what the book says, and I guess this is probably the easiest thing to do, and that's why they sometimes go with military time or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. You can think about this 3:15 as being what military time. Do you remember what we did to get something to military time? Bryce, you.
Just keep going and going over.
Well, so let me ask you a question. If 12 o'clock is noon,
14.
this would be
1400.
no
1500.
15:15. You could do that. That's what the book actually says. Change this to military time, and you get 15:15. Okay, and then when you do the math, you end up with 5 minutes there. And put 15 minus 8 is, so it's actually 7 hours, 5 minutes later.
Yes.
So the negative things, usually the negative thing kind of would work, but since it's not in base 10, since there's 12 hours, if it would have been only 10 hours from noon would be 10 o'clock or whatever, then yours would work, but since there's 12 hours, it doesn't work that way. The only other way I can tell you to try to do this, if you can't do it like this, is to do it if you were thinking, you could do it kind of like this. Okay? And this gets a little complicated. There's nothing easy with time, by the way. Here's what you could do. What's the next hour after 8 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
How many minutes would it take you to get to 9 o'clock?
50.
50 minutes. So you have 50 minutes here, and now you're at 9 o'clock, right? Well, to go from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, which is the next closest whole number to where you want, how many hours would it be from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock? Well, 9 till 12 is 3 hours, and then 12 to 3 is another 3 hours, so that's
6 hours.
so to go from there to there is 6 hours. So now my school day is 6 hours, 50 minutes long. But I don't go just till 3, I have to add another 15 minutes onto my minutes. What is 50 minutes plus another 15 minutes?
An hour and 5 minutes.
Another hour and 5 minutes. So that's where you get 7 total hours and 5 minutes left over. There is no easy way to do time because there's not 10 hours. It would be nice if there was 10 minutes in an hour and 10 hours in a day and 10 days in a week and 10 weeks in a year. Okay, but you can't do it like that. So you either have to do it like this or think about it in military time and do the subtraction like that. There is no real, it's just not like a magical sort of formula that you can do that. Abram?
How do you do the first part again?
This first one? Well, I want to get from 8 to 10. This one?
Yeah.
Whatever number is on top, if it's smaller, add 12 to it. Since this started out being 3:15, military time says you add 12 hours to it, so it ends up being 15. Because this was 3:15. 3:15 plus 12 hours is 15:15.
Then how do you be able to subtract
8 from 15 is 7. And we'll go there. There's no way till we get to borrowing and carrying with all that. I should give you one more. Here, let me give you one. What if you go from 8:05 to 6:50 p.m.? I'll give you one. See if you can figure this out. 8:05 a.m. to 6:50 p.m. Let's see who can get the right answer. It's a tough one. And again, you could do the earlier and subtract, or do the later, subtract the earlier, make it kind of military time, or you can count like we just did. Go from 8:05, how long does it take you to 9? Figure out 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 6 to 6:50. Jack's dazed and confused. Jack, if you had your choice between being dazed and confused, which one would you be? Dazed or confused?
Dazed.
Me too. If you had your choice between being dazed or weeks, which one would you be?
Weeks.
If you had your choice of being between weeks or strong, what would it be?
Strong.
Me too. So would you rather have weekday strong, day week strong? Does anybody have an answer for me yet?
Hey, weeks.
First of all, is anybody using the military one? And anybody using just count one? I'd say usually if you're doing it in your head, you'd probably go the counting one, but if you're not. Who's got an answer? Bryce says
10:45.
10 hours and 45 minutes. Anybody else come up with that? Anybody come up with something else? Carter Westfall?
1 hour and
Well, it can't be 1 hour, sir. From 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, there's no way that can be 1 hour.
Oh,
That doesn't even, your answer needs to make some sort of sense. You can't go from 8 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night and say that it's only 1 hour. Boom. Faith?
13 hours, 50 minutes.
13 hours, 50 minutes?
No. 13 hours. 13 hours, 55 minutes.
13 hours, 55 minutes? Partner,
14 hours and 45 minutes.
14 hours, 45 minutes? Oh, what do you do? All right, let's take a look here. Let's do it militarily first, okay? Remember, militarily takes the PM number and adds 12 to it because this 6:50 PM would be 18, 12 and 6 is 18, 50, 1850. And I'm subtracting 8:05 from that. Well, if I take 50 minutes and I subtract 5 minutes from it, I do get 45 minutes, so we know 45 is going to be the end.
We should take the bigger number and turn it into military time.
Right. No, the later number, not the bigger number, the later number. 18 minus 8 is 10 hours, 45 minutes.
I started to do that, but
Now going the other way, 8:05 to 6:50. To go from 8 o'clock to the next hour would be 9 o'clock. How many minutes is that? 55 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Now to go from 9 o'clock to the whole hour that's closest to where you want to go, which is 6 o'clock, go from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Takes you 3 hours to get to noon, and then another 6 hours to get there. That's how many total hours?
9.
Yeah, 3 hours to get to noon, and then 6 more hours to get to 6 o'clock. That's 9 hours. And then to go from 6 o'clock to 6:50 is another 50 minutes. Now, unfortunately, I've still got some work to do because I have 50 minutes and 55 minutes. What if I put 50 minutes with 55 minutes? What do I get? Well, if I took 5 minutes away from the 50 and added it to that, that's an hour, right? And I still have 45 minutes left here. Add my hour to the 9 I already have, I get 10 hours, 45 minutes. There's no, like I said, there's no easy way, people. Unless you even with the calculator, you couldn't do that because unless it's some program that you stick time into, there's not. Calculators do things on our base 10 sort of thing, so even that would not make your life much easier.